So just so everybody knows, the area we're going to walk into now is inpatient for the hospital, and this will open probably in August. So you may see things are not quite, ready for opening, and that's intentional. August is when the inpatient units will open. Outpatient towards the end of this month, beginning of June.
Dr. Labuti, just so for everyone has, could you identify yourself, your name, title?
Sure. So I'm Steve Labuti. I'm the William Height Director of the Rutgers Cancer Institute and the Senior Vice President for Oncology Services at RWJ Barnabas Health.
Will you spell your first and last name?
Yes, Steven, S-T-E-V-E-N, and Labuti, L-I-B-U-T-T-I.
L-U-B-I-T.
L-I-B-U-T-T-I.
Is that B capitalized?
No.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, here we go. All right. We can bring everybody in. So this is one of 3 floors in the Morris that are dedicated to inpatient care, 96 private rooms, and you'll see an example of one. We're going to walk in a second. This is where patients with cancer diagnoses that require surgery and an overnight stay or medical therapy, including bone marrow transplant or cellular therapy, would be admitted to the cancer hospital for a period of time to receive their treatment. The beauty of this facility is that it's both inpatient and outpatient care, and most cancer patients spend time as both inpatients and outpatients, and here they'll be cared for by the same team in a seamless structure. And so we're going to go in. All the rooms are private rooms, and so we're going to take a look in this one.
Can you also have the people with the cameras, if we all come in
Sure.
at a time so we can get shots of all
Yep.
our people? Thank you.
Absolutely.
If we need to rotate in to get your shots, we can do that.
We'll do that afterwards as well. So the rooms, as I mentioned, are private, single occupancy rooms. When this room is ready to open, there'll be couch and chair back here along the wall that will expand out so family members can stay with the patient. That'll be the rule rather than the exception. We encourage family to stay with the patient during their stay here. You'll notice that it was very intentional that we try to make this look like something other than a hospital room. And so our hope is that it feels a little like home, maybe you're at a resort or a hotel. I mean, we all recognize that when you're getting treated in a hospital, you can't avoid but know that you're getting treated. But the more that we can disarm it and make it less like clinical space, that was our goal. I generally say this, I had asked for real marble on the walls, but we would have only had 1 room, not 96, if we had done that. But Chris Palladino at Devco made sure we had as close to that as we could, and this is compliant with the hospital cleaning protocols, etc. These rooms are flex rooms, which means that they're designed to treat the standard hospital patient, but can be flexed up in acuity if that patient requires more intensive care. And we're connected by a sky bridge to Robert Wood Johnson University Hospital, a major academic acute care hospital, that if our patients need care beyond cancer care, it's literally connected by a sky bridge to that hospital and all of the expertise there. All the rooms are around the perimeter, and you'll notice almost ceiling to floor windows. We're trying to make as much use of natural light. Again, it's helpful to patients if they can see time change, etc., for their psychological well-being when they're in the hospital. And the last thing I'll mention before we move on is our audiovisual system. So we have a large screen television, essentially, that patients can watch streaming services. They can stream from their own electronic devices to the screen. We can bring up images of their CAT scans or MRIs if we're going to explain something to the patient. And that tablet you see next to the screen is connected to our electronic health record. It automatically identifies healthcare providers when they come in the door as who they are, what their name is, so the patients know who's here to care for them, and they can order food. It's all a la carte, so patients aren't set to a breakfast, lunch, and dinner time schedule. Their physicians will set whatever limitations there are on their diet, but they can order electronically, and then it will be delivered from our kitchens directly to the patient and for the patient's family. There's also a whiteboard here where the providers can provide notes, etc., as they're explaining things to the patient. And
Other state-of-the-art entertainment.
oh
as
yeah,
well.
yeah. In addition to them
Education.
being able to stream their own stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Netflix, any other, not that we're advertising for particular streaming services, we have them all.
They had their groundbreaking today.
Yes, they
Yeah.
did in New Jersey. But any audiovisual support or entertainment that the patient wants to access can access there as well.
It's really just emulating, as Dr. Labuti said, the home environment as
Yeah.
close as we can. Obviously, it's not home, but we want to make it as comfortable emotionally for the patients as possible.
All right, so we're going to move out. Of those that want to filter back in with cameras and stuff, feel free to. So where you are now is infusion. And so most cancer patients getting active cancer therapy, whether they're an inpatient or an outpatient, are going to spend most of their time with infusion. And so this is where chemotherapies might be administered or experimental treatments on a clinical trial. And so this space was very important to us in terms of getting it right, and we really involved our patients in giving us input and feedback on the design. You'll see the waiting area. Again, the idea here was not to have it look like a hospital when you're coming in. I was influenced by a number of different experiences, and I had one or two opportunities to be in a airport waiting lounge. And you'll notice that the lounge there, which is catering to the patient and the patient's family, has a table. Inspirational messages are on the table. The table has capacitance charging stations, so you can charge your electronic devices. It has a little nook where you can grab food, heat it up in a microwave, soft drinks, coffee, etc. as you're waiting to go into infusion to get your treatments. Our infusion unit is large. We're going to walk through here to the other side of the infusion unit. We'll see some infusion rooms. And again, patient feedback and input really played a big part in how we designed those infusion rooms.
Sometimes patients are here many hours, the entire day. So just imagine how important it is to be in this physical and emotional comfort.
And several times a week, maybe over 6 weeks or 8 weeks. Yeah. So this is another, I'll let the rest of it come in, so, yeah. So you guys can all come in. This is another lounge area, a waiting area for patients and their families. Then the nursing station. This is a nursing touchdown area where nurses can literally land to write notes, to catch up on exchange of information for patients. We have two different types of infusion rooms, and this was influenced by patient input. There are private rooms, which half of our patients said they liked their privacy and they wanted a private room to get infusion. The other half kind of like to have a buddy, where they, some patients are here on the same exact days for their treatments, and so they bond with each other, and so some of them wanted to be able to be conjoined with someone who they get therapy with on a regular basis. But again, the idea for these rooms was not to have them look like a hospital room or a clinic room. We can walk over to this one right here. 5-2 is what it's called. And if you look inside, we tried to get the feel of a living room or a hotel room. Again, audiovisual, capable, streaming sites or a movie they might have brought on a device that they can stream to the screen. And then we also have a touch screen where the patients sit, where again, they can call the nurse, they can order food if they're allowed to be eating while they're getting infusion, etc. The chairs all recline, they're heated massage chairs as well, so the whole idea was to focus on patient comfort in the infusion unit. And again, if there are questions, I'm happy to answer any. So 84 infusion chairs for adults, is that correct?
84, correct.
84 infusion. So 84 rooms like this.
Right.
100% again dedicated to cancer oncology.
Yeah.
Why is it so important to have patients in an environment like this? I mean, nothing looks like a hospital.
Yeah. So there's probably no worse words you can hear as a patient than "you have cancer." If you're told you have heart disease or you're told you have diabetes, you generally think, all right, I'm going to get treated, some pills, and I'll live a normal life, I'll be fine. Patients, when they get that cancer diagnosis, immediately begin to go to a dark place, feeling desperate, like they don't know what they're going to do. And so the whole idea with this building was to reflect our approach to the cancer patient, which is not just to treat them, but to care for them, to begin to lift that burden of the diagnosis off their shoulders from the moment we encounter them, to wrap a blanket around them. And so the whole idea of this place was that patients won't dread coming here. I mean, I recognize that they're getting treated and there are certain issues with that, but a place where they can feel like we care about them. It wasn't just the aesthetic that's necessary for a hospital, it's an aesthetic that's focused on their feelings, their support, how we can help them navigate their way through their diagnosis.
And do they have to be referred here?
Well, there's lots of ways you can, many doors to one program is what I like to say. And so certainly they can be referred here, but patients can call 1-844-CANCER-NJ, which is our call center. And depending on their diagnosis and whether or not they need inpatient care, et cetera, they'll be navigated by our navigation team to the appropriate location closest to home at the level of acuity necessary for their particular problem. So yes, they can be referred, but yes, they can access us directly as well.
And we're also, this obviously number one goal is New Jersey, but we also view this as a national destination center. Wherever you are, and maybe globally as well, wherever you are in the country and maybe the world, this is a place to be.
And we have the expertise here to treat any cancer diagnosis, from the most common to the most rare. We've recruited clinicians and clinician investigators from literally all over the world that are now here practicing at this facility. Yeah. So we have a double, is there a double infusion pod over here?
These are private.
These are private.
Yep, and then we have a couple of the double ones past there, sorry. They're,
We'll give you special access.
they,
Nobody else.
Here we go. Yeah, so here's a great example. This is a single, if you'll notice as you walk by, on the left is a single infusion pod. This is a
Right.
single one. And this is a double, where it's just separated by glass.
Got it. So they really can't communicate.
They can, because they're not stuck in their chairs. They can move around. So they'll be in the chair if they want to be in the chair when the IV, their port, is being accessed at first. But we encourage, as long as there are no distancing restrictions, we encourage the patients to move around, and so they'd be able to just come over and interact. It's more the feel of it. They didn't want to feel like they were closed off in a closed room.
and the family members can double.
Yes. I'll point out one thing. Any place you see hanging light fixtures was a particular focus of mine. because it's unusual to see hanging light fixtures in a hospital. And so I pushed hard for things like that that would make it look like living space as opposed to clinical space.
Family space with.
All right. Yep.
You have some more.
Yes, it's a, they look a bit wonky. Yes.
So this is one of my favorite spaces in the whole building. So as I was just alluding to, so we treat cancer patients all the way from pediatrics to geriatrics in terms of age groups. The inpatient portion of the Jack and Sheryl Morris is dedicated to adult cancer patients because we have a children's hospital right across the street, and we're connected by a sky bridge to Robert Wood Johnson University Hospital and Bristol Myers Squibb Children's Hospital. And I really feel very strongly that kids should be in a children's hospital, a hospital dedicated entirely to the care for kids. And fortunately, not many children with a cancer diagnosis are going to require an inpatient stay. But we do take care of pediatric outpatients. And so I wanted the unit where we take care of them to be as special as it could be, kind of like an adventure, not just for them, but for their siblings. Oftentimes, pediatric patients are coming with their parents, and their parents have to bring along their siblings because they have no other place to put them, especially during the summer, which is a pretty miserable time to have to come to the doctor and get your treatment. And so the more whimsical we could make this experience, the more disarming we could make it, the better. And so we have our theme is a day at the Jersey Shore. And so what you're going to see is we walk on the boardwalk, and you'll actually see a boardwalk and then actual Jersey Shore high-definition photos along the left-hand side, clouds above your head, is we're first going to pass our Carousel Club, which is essentially our arcade for the kids and their siblings, and then I'll point out other things as we move along. So I'll just step in here for a second. So, there will be more games because I promised Dr. Evans we'd have Miss Pac-Man, but when we're ready to open, there'll be more. It's a little bit of a retro arcade, so you know, sort of the games. Some of us, I was going to say many of us, but I double the age of most of the folks that are here. So for those that grew up in the 70s and 80s, it's an arcade that resembles that a bit. There are touch tables where lights will go on and off. Again, the idea is to be any place other than a hospital or a clinic is the concept here. All right, so this is our nursing station, which obviously we've nicknamed the lifeguard station, and that's not just to have the Jersey Shore theme, but it's true. Our nurses are the lifeguards for the patients that we treat. And just to the side of the nursing station here, and you guys can pop in and take a look, is one of our waiting rooms for our patients. And again, Jersey Shore theme, Day at the Beach. These, as I mentioned, this is from Long Beach Township, or the photos here. Little portholes where, again, Long Beach Township Beach Patrol photos through there. And then a little kitchenette where patients, families waiting, etc. here can grab snacks, charging ports on the tables and below the benches, so you can charge devices, computers, etc. while you're here. You can see already that much of these amenities are the result of generous philanthropy from donors that are already assisting us in the mission here. Again, another big screen TV where you can stream things, project your own content as well.
Can you talk a little bit, you said this is an outpatient?
Outpatient clinic, yes. So where our pediatric patients come for infusions, exams, whatever is necessary in their care. And so what we're going to see next are the exam rooms and the infusion rooms. So you remember what the infusion rooms look like for the adults. We've tried to encompass with the kids things that would be disarming for the kids and feel like a warm space. So we'll see that as we
Can
walk
we just
down.
pause for a second?
Sure.
Did everyone, if you need to get shots in there
Yeah,
before we move
please.
on?
Yep.
Okay, all right.
You know Mandy, right? Your nursing director.
Hey.
Nursing
How are
director
you?
Bates.
So I'm going to have you guys, is this where we're cutting a ribbon?
Yeah.
Okay.
We have
So,
the open one here.
Yeah, so you guys can look down this
Steve, there's no
hallway,
going
so,
down
yeah,
here.
yeah. Oh, okay, all right, we'll come down this way, you can walk down and actually look in the
And the fun house.
Yeah.
Ah,
All right, I'll
that's
start with
good.
the fun house.
I'm not gonna get, my productivity is gonna dip, I
Yeah,
apologize.
significantly.
Because malignancies.
So the fun house is our toy store, so we get lots of toys donated to the Cancer Institute all year long, certainly around the holidays, but all year long. We actually have a big storage facility across the street in the hospital where we keep those toys. And so we decided we might as well have a grab and go for those toys in the pediatric unit, and we'll continuously restock it. So kids, either as they're arriving or as they're leaving, can stop in the toy store and grab something that they like and take that with them, and then we continuously restock it. When you walk in here, the lights change over your head, so it is a little bit like a fun house, and it has a fun house mirror on the ceiling. Again, all things to try to make this less like a clinical space and more like a fun place to come and visit.
When Steve was kind, he said it was for children, trust me, the adults will be in here too.
Yes.
I'll be proud, because my clinic's right down the hall, so.
So if you look down this hallway, this is an example, and you guys can come down, this is an example of, yeah, I'll use this one. This is an example of the exam rooms, and they're designed to look like cabanas. So again, we're at the beach, and so the exam rooms are cabanas. We'll walk into one of the exam rooms here. And so again, set up functionally, so our providers, nurses and physicians, have their computer system set up so they can interact with the electronic health record, but also, somewhat whimsical and fun for the kids, touch boards where you can make the lights change color. And again, the environment is supposed to look something other than a doctor's office as best we can. I mean, you have to have the sinks, you have to have some of the equipment to do the exam, etc. But we've done as much as we thought we could to make it less look like a clinical space.
They all have these like little things on the wall?
Yeah, the exam rooms do.
Do those help them look at the x-rays or
Oh,
are they just
so
for
just the
aesthetic
light, you mean
purposes?
the
or
light board is purely for aesthetic.
Purely for
So
aesthetic?
that just is
I like that.
what it does, I did it in the other room, is when you touch it,
I was wondering, yeah.
it's an interactive touch board, so it changes colors.
It's good for kids,
Yep.
good for me.
Yeah, it's good for the providers if they. This is a procedure room, so here would be where if a pediatric patient required bone marrow aspirate, or they required a port access, or something else that was a procedure, that could be done in a much bigger room, better lighting, more room for nurses and physicians to care for anesthesia, to come to provide anesthesia. And then as we move to the front, is where our infusion rooms are. Here's where you can sort of see the contrast of how we try to design these compared to the ones for the cabanas. So they're cabanas. The color schemes are brighter, more welcoming for kids. Again, the kids will often move around once they're getting their infusions, once they're connected to the lines that are providing their therapy. They'll get set up in the infusion room, but then they're encouraged to move into the more open spaces, and you guys can feel free to go in there and do some videoing. Yes.
Lobby and we look at
And so this is another waiting area for patients and their families, again, on this nautical theme, another nursing station here. And then this nook over here is, again, touchdown space for the patients, their families, their siblings. It has refrigerators, microwaves, soft drinks, coffee, etc. And then we have a room over here called the Hangout, which is for our adolescents and young adults. It's a room that will be stocked with iPads and other video devices where they can come in and have sort of their own sort of private space. As you all probably know who have been an adolescent or might have adolescents of your own at home, they kind of are too cool for school and don't necessarily want to hang out in a space they see as for little kids. And so there's a separate hangout area for them, as they're making their visits here. I always like to point out the glass windows over here. You see the polka dots on them, that's bird-proof glass. So this building was built with a lot of nods to the environment, to green spaces, to lots of natural light. And here we're trying to protect our feathered friends from crashing headlong into the side of the building. So this also gives a great view of the campus. So this has really become not only an important medical campus, the Helix project you can see in the distance with the crane over the top, but this has really become our cancer campus. This building right here that you're looking at is the legacy Rutgers Cancer Institute building, where we have 35 research labs, our current clinical operations, which will all move into this building. And you can see the sky bridge that connects the Morris not only to the legacy cancer research building, but to the Robert Wood Johnson University Hospital. So a lot of connectivity on the campus for investigators and clinicians to interact with each other. And actually the next stop and final stop, I believe, on the tour is our research laboratories. This building not only is for clinical care, but has brand new research laboratory facilities where science is happening right where the patients are getting treated. So we're going to go there next. So this is our research space, and what I mean by research is bench research, so basic science research. It's where the questions that we're asking and answering, probing questions about cancer from a biologic perspective, cancer cells, how they work, how they divide, how they multiply, all of that occurs in these spaces. And this research space goes around the entire perimeter of the building on this side of the hall on the second floor. So it's enough space for what we refer to as 10 principal investigators. These are the leaders of research teams, each team with about 10 researchers. So 100 new cancer researchers will be accommodated by this laboratory space, and that's in addition to the 35 laboratories that we have right across the Sky Bridge in the legacy Rutgers Cancer Institute space. So Rutgers Cancer Institute is the only National Cancer Institute designated comprehensive cancer center in New Jersey. And what that means is every 5 years we compete against our peers across the United States for funding from the National Cancer Institute to support the science that we do here in driving towards new discoveries and new treatments. And so that's a grant over $20 million that supports some of the science in this building, as well as our legacy research building. And so these laboratories are how we turn that funding into actual discovery that leads to next generation therapeutics. Like the cell therapy program that we have here, which is a part of a type of cancer therapy called immunotherapy, led by Christian Henricks, who is a recruit of ours from the National Cancer Institute. Christian takes immune cells from patients with cancer and actually modifies them in our facilities here to specifically target their cancer, and then infuses it back in those patients. We currently have a number of clinical trials open leveraging that type of approach, several of which are based directly on Christian science. That is part of what's supported by the research efforts here. And so one of the other aspects I'll show you if you guys look towards the side is there's a big floor-to-ceiling window there. That's because we refer to this as science on display. So patients, as they're crossing from the parking garage or coming across on the second floor, can look in that window and see the investigators that are working on the next generation of treatments and therapies that will benefit them in the future. It also allows the investigators to really see why they're here. They're here on behalf of those patients. I believe strongly that if you're at an NCI designated cancer center, a comprehensive cancer center specifically, your research has to be focused on bettering the outcomes of the patients that we focus on and care for. And so here's where some of that synergy is manifest. All right, so we're now going to go down to radiation oncology, and that's the last stop on the tour. So again, with the theme of patient-centered, nutrition is an important component of your journey through cancer therapy. And so we've designed a demonstration kitchen here where we have chefs come in and teach patients and their families about how to prepare nutritious and healthy meals during their treatment. We have some celebrity guest chefs lined up to be coming once we're open, to be teaching cooking classes, and this is our sort of demonstration space to be able to do that. Then on this side of the building is imaging, so this is where patients would come for their CT scans, their MRIs, their PET scans, any state-of-the-art imaging. Which is, I'm going to have Dr. Evans talk a little bit about the splash wall in a second, is radiation oncology, where our linear accelerators, we have 4 brand new linear accelerators. They produce the radiation energy that treats patients with radiation therapy, one of which is an MRI linear accelerator, which is a state-of-the-art linear accelerator that allows you to do imaging and deliver radiation at the same time. So Andy, why don't you talk a little bit about the splash wall?
So as Dr. Labuti said, everything again is through the lens of the patient. Every single tile on the wall was painted by the Mud Girl Studio. It's a special program out of Atlantic City to help empower disadvantaged women. And so this was through their eyes and lens that every single tile was painted by.
Hand painted.
Yes. So very special.
Cool? Yep.
Anyone on the media tour, just come this way, please. Way back, I'll get it. Thank you.
One door fit to prevent energy from escaping the room. So the patient would lie down on this table, and we have special instrumentation that holds them in a still position while they're getting the therapy. The machine actually moves around the patient to deliver radiation. Again, since the patients are often lying on their back looking up, I wanted some imagery that did not seem like you're just staring up at a blank ceiling. Originally, I had wanted video panels up there so we can constantly be changing the imaging, but I was educated by the architects and technologists that because this is radiation being delivered here, that you'd have to change the LCD panels probably every 3 months because they'll burn out from the radiation. So we went with just still images, but each of our linear accelerator vaults has a different skyscape in it. So each one looks slightly different. Again, 4 rooms like this with linear accelerators, one of which has an MRI unit built into it to allow for imaging and radiation to be done in the same machine.
It's the most advanced radiation technology in the world.
Yeah, available.
The MRI LINAC, there's only 100 in the entire world. Now, this is one of the few. So,
Too many companies that make me. Where
Yeah.
did this one come from?
So this machine is from Varian, is our supplier for this linear accelerator.
It's arrived from
Yeah, so
Pittsburgh or?
I'm not sure exactly, but it was quite the event when the machines were brought into the vaults. This is called a vault, and these were actually the first rooms constructed in the building because we're obviously in the sub-level right now, and so after the pouring of the foundation, these vaults were the first rooms constructed in the Jack and Cheryl Mars
but
Cancer
an
Center.
important point to dovetail, most radiation oncology are in a basement and you feel dark, cold. So you can see very intentionally
Ours is open space.
open space.
And
Even
the
obviously it's
plants.
a lot.
Hopefully you noticed as we went through the building, there's greenery everywhere. Those are real plants. And so the idea being renewable life happening in the building, again, to try to contrast it to a typical hospital space. All right, very good. Anyone that wants to stay gets it.
No, I was